Hello, welcome to the Mover Mailbag Live. This is the first time I've ever tried doing the whole redirect thing, so I guess we'll give people a chance to get here. Good morning for those of you that are joining us that were watching the Rolex 24. There's still a couple hours left, so we'll make this quick and painless. But I'm echoing, she says. Why would I be echoing? Let's see if we can fix something here. Audio. No, it shouldn't be echoing. I don't know why. I don't think that's on my end, but if it is, I'm sorry. I don't have any way to fix it. Anyway, so we just did the Finny flight trailer. Hello, Tom. And there's a lot of meaning to that. Probably won't talk about that today, but that video was originally published February 14th, I think, of 2022, and it became a kind of a thing. And over 2 years, became a thing. And just recently, it was approved by Air Force Reserve Command, Public Affairs, and cleared for release again. And Newsweek is doing their thing, so they cleared the footage to go to them. So kind of an interesting start to 2024. So I'm really proud that that we're able to do it. I made a couple changes, nothing major. A couple like transitions because I learned a little bit more about video editing in the last 2 years, and changed. There's this one part where I say, "Hey, thanks for everything," which I added in. I didn't have that in the original, and still gets me. I talked about it's in the description of both of them. The reason I picked those songs, if you remember back in 2021, I kind of had some issues with getting a little anxious in the jet, not wanting to be in the airplane. And that was a struggle. It was a big struggle. It was a struggle for a long time, about 7 months. And those two songs, the first one, Born for This, was one of the songs that got me through it, because it would remind me why I was doing this job, why I love flying, why I did it. It was one of those songs that I would hum in my head, that kind of pushed me through. And the other song, the artist I had found during that process, because they've got some stuff. Cold Blooded was one of the songs that I really liked, El Capitan. But I found this song because I thought it was a good trailer song. I thought it was a good song, Oblivion, because at the time, rightfully, we did not know what was next. We just knew that our positions were defunded. We were told to pack up our things and leave. That was our last flight. Don't come back or whatever. Turns out that was wrong and not within the regulations that they did that. But it was the end. It was we were just going off into oblivion, and that meant a lot to me. That was a something that was very important to me, and had a deep meaning. So that's why I picked those two songs. They're both commercial songs, so the video wasn't monetized. I didn't make any money off of it. It was just for the love of what we had done and to pay tribute to my time flying the T-38 at the 301st Fighter Squadron with Gonki and the bros there. So really excited to see the Newsweek thing. So tomorrow night we will do, we have Naveed coming on the channel, at least for the first part, and he's going to be with us as we do as Gonki does a blind react to the Newsweek thing, which I've already seen. It's pretty cool. It's kind of a bromance, which is funny. People are going to make fun of us. I know it, but that's good. We deserve it. We deserve to be made fun of. But really cool and really excited for that, because like I said, this is a little bit of vindication after 2 years of being in the dumps. It was kind of a good way to start 2024. So anyway, Mover Mailbag. This is not about me. This is about you. We need to do one, and I actually have mail. So while you figure out your questions, I've got something from Jason in Kentucky, and he sent this to me, and it says it's an aerospace vehicle. Oh, it's a Top Gun. It's a Top Gun Maverick, Boeing FA-18 Super Hornet Hero, and the Dark Star. That's funny. That's awesome. See if you're. Did you write a note? No, he just sent it. Well, thanks, Jason. That's pretty cool. It's funny. We'll have to put those on the shelf back there. I don't know. Can I open them? You think they're going to be worth something someday? Mint in box. But thank you, Jason. That's pretty cool. The chat's not really doing much, so I hope I'm live, because otherwise it's just going to be me talking to myself, which is fine. We'll talk to ourselves for about 5 minutes and then leave. So this comes from the UK, and they sent one to me and one to me care of me for Gonky. And so, yeah, we'll see what they have to say here. This is a card with the red arrows at an air show. And it says, "Dear Mr. Lemoyne, really appreciate all." Oh, okay. 2 pages. Got it. I'm reading this. Really appreciate all the effort that you put into your channel, educating and encouraging others. I enjoy the Mental Health Minute and believe it will help a lot of people. I'm a big lover of F-14s, Tomcats, if you will. F-16s, starting with Top Gun, of course, having been so lucky to see them at air shows in the UK when I was younger. 2022, I was hoping to see the F-16. I went hoping to see the F-16, but due to logistical issues, I had to cancel. It was from Belgium. They had earlier insurance problems, interesting, but not being in Europe, I suspect there's a lot of red tape and political issues. The Typhoon is great. Can't complain here. Best wishes. See, Jane M. Thank you, Jane. That's pretty cool. It's really cool. Anyway, all right. So that's it. That was the whole of the mail. Now we can talk to the kids at home. Tom says, "What are your thoughts on conscription? Former top brass and British Army have suggested that it could be reinstated, causing a lot of controversy over the pond." Well, I don't really have much of an opinion. Personally, I think a volunteer force is better, because I don't think, drafts and stuff like that, forced service really works. I mean, I guess if you're talking a meat grinder and it's one of those kind of wars of attrition where you don't have a choice, yeah. But I think the highest performing force is one that's a volunteer force, the carrot versus the stick, with good leadership. That's the other part. Like, if you don't have good leadership, doesn't matter who's in. But I think that's interesting. It's scary. It's not a good thing. I hope it doesn't indicate something worse. Did you ever hear what happened? Laura says, "Did you ever hear what happened to Luna's littermates?" No. There was one that was her big brother that I'd kind of kept in touch with for about the first year-ish, maybe. And I haven't heard anything since then. So it's funny. I adopted her from this place called Cajun Tales Adopters. And apparently they had like a riff, if you will, split. And so the woman that was running the adoption for Luna split off and made her own group, which I think the name needs a little work, Lickin' for Love, because that sounds really inappropriate, but so to speak. But what she did was we had a group called the Cajun Tales Adopters where we'd keep in touch. And she basically hijacked that for her new adoption agency, which I love that she's doing dog rescues. I really can't say anything bad about her. It's just, it was a little weird that she preempted it. And Cajun Tales still exists, but then she's over here taking over Lickin' for Love for her own charity. It was just weird. So nobody really participates anymore, and I have not heard anything from the littermates. It was just the one. But the funny thing is, that one dog was like 70-something pounds the last time I heard. Like, that boy was huge compared to Luna. He had 2 blue eyes, but he was a much bigger dog than Luna. She's probably the smallest in that litter by far. So David says the context for conscription was the potential for a U.S. and Russia and NATO war. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bob. It raised an eyebrow for me too. Let's just say, Me too. Do pilots have direct inputs to contractors and incremental improvements of the jets? Not direct. No. I mean, no. There's no direct line at all. There might be indirect. WebTAC would probably be a good one where there's kind of a conference where fighter pilots will go, but in general, there's no real direct line. Yeah. So let's see what else we got. Do I have any emails? I've got some kind of weird emails. Not weird. Here's one guy. This one's not the weird one. I'm currently going through the B course at the 62nd and stumbled upon an old picture. I had to reach out with this blast from the past. Hope all is well. Keep up the great work. Spike Aces, 357 and counting, Scott. So this dude is in the B course and found my old B course picture at Spike. I guess they're flying F-35s now. I'm jelly. I would fly it now. I'd fly anything at this point. JB Smoke says, any more helicopter aviating in your future? I wish. So last August, September, I don't know. You'd have to go back and find that video. The guy who was renting the helicopter to me sold it, and he has no plans to get another one. Lester had a guy, but the guy doesn't want to rent or loan the helicopter to anybody, so that's out. If I had money, I'd buy one. If I had about 350 grand. In fact, I saw a Bell 206 and trade a plane for 350 grand, and I was like, boy, that'd be awesome. Had pop out floats and everything, but there's just no way I can justify it. Also, I don't have that kind of money. Laura says, I should ask Gonky this because it was his video, but in the recent flying video he uploaded, what were the pins for that? He was sticking back in his seat after landing, the ejection seat. So you got two pins, one's for the seat and one's for the canopy, because you can blow the canopy. So it's got charges that'll pop it out. So you pin that to keep it from accidentally being jettisoned. So let's see what else we got. Emails, viewer asking for advice. Samuel says, hey, Mover, I'm currently a high school student aiming to serve as a naval officer one day. And I wanted to say I really appreciate all the great advice given on your channel. One thing I'm really struggling with right now, though, is loneliness, fitting in with some of my peers. I have two best friends I've known since I was little who I talk to regularly, but they're different schools now. So I'm usually alone at school. So wondering if you had any advice on how to deal with having lots of time alone, not having an very eventful social life. Thanks for the content. So this is what you turn into 30 years later, or probably 25 years later, depending on how old he is. It's just you become me when you don't have much of a eventful social life and spend a lot of time, by yourself. Honestly, dude, I think if you're able to be happy alone, you don't need validation. To me, that's a better, more peaceful life. I would say do school events, get in clubs, do something that interests you, join the Civil Air Patrol. You'll have people with common interests, flying wise. When you go to college, ROTC, if there's a junior ROTC, I think they call it the Sea Cadets, the Navy Sea Cadets, you might try. But find activities that you have common interests with your peers. You're not just hanging out at high school, so you have stuff to do after school, and get out of the house. It's easy to become a hermit and stay in the house. Because then it snowballs, and eventually you don't want to go anywhere. Let's see. It's a shame that the Ministry of Defense, right, seems to be a lot more cautious about releasing cockpit videos. We see very little compared to the U.S. I don't know that that's true. Some places it's way more liberal. It just depends. Obviously, the T-38A is not a classified work center, so you're not going to inadvertently release something classified. The Air Force is worse than the Navy, and that's because the Air Force has its roots in the Army, which is ridiculous. So people don't really, you're not treated as somebody who's a decision maker. You're treated as, we'll tell you what to do, not we expect you to do the right thing. The Navy used to be really good. You could find Hornet videos, it was down to the skipper level as far as who approved it. All my videos on the F-18 side were the skipper level. In fact, the Navy advertising marketing people took all my videos because they were going to use them. Then I think 3 years ago now, the Navy came out and said no more, GoPros without like high level approval, which I think is a little ridiculous. And that's for security reasons. You don't want to have a reflection of a MFD in the cockpit or helmet or, reveal something. You don't want to do something tactical, all that stuff. So, I mean, I get it, but there's a balance, right? So, yep. Laura says, so no more Luna on patrol unless until you get a Luna mobile. Certainty you'll get one. Ooh, that is you never think you're going to have so much drama in a volunteer group. So the story behind that, as much as I can tell it, January 2nd, actually before that. So back in December, it started leaking. I don't know where it came from, but the overhead lights, the factory ones, not the one that was installed by the outfitter, but the factory ones were pooling water, and it was dripping down into the center console of my laptop, onto the light controller, all that stuff, when it would rain real heavy. So I took it into maintenance, and they said, oh, it's one of the antennas was leaking. We think that's what it is. They plugged it. Should be good to go. Well, when it got cold, started it up, and it started smoking real bad. And we said, well, what's the deal with that? They said, well, it's just the turbo on the Ford because it's an EcoBoost, and it's just dumping oil. Eventually it'll blow out. Work fine. It was an intermittent problem. I thought it was going to be good to go, whatever. At the time, there were no spares, so I was hoping to keep it. Then in January, the leaks got worse, and I said, okay, January 2nd, I brought it in. And they took it and they said, yep, we're going to test it out. You can leave all your stuff in here because we don't think it's going to be long. We'll keep it under a shelter or whatever. It'll be fine. And I brought it, and then the week went by, and they're like, yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. And then they said, it's the windshield. So they're like, we're just going to get you a new windshield, seal it up. You'll be good to go. Like, okay, cool. And then I said, hey, while it's there, can you do an oil change the battery, windshield wipers, all that stuff? Because it, was due for its annual maintenance anyway. Week goes by. I say, hey, what's the deal? And they said, well, we're deadlining that unit. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, because it's too expensive to fix. Well, they had a Durango, 2021 Durango, and I drove that for an event that they had pre-scheduled because they were like, we have to get this event done. And so I went and picked it up and used it for the event. And apparently that ruffled some feathers because it was a newer unit. And so the backstory is K9 is its own division. We are not part of the K9 division. We don't want to be part of the K9 division because when we first started this, they were initially feathers ruffled because of our existence. So we were trying to stay away and not make anybody mad because I'm a volunteer. I don't want to, cause any issues. So one of the members of the K9 division found out about the Durango, and he thought that we were going to get assigned that, which I had asked for. I had said, hey, that Durango would be perfect for our mission because Luna fits in it because it's not a Tahoe with a door popper. It's lower to the ground. She can get in and out of it. It doesn't look like what Patrol does because they drive Tahoes. No one's going to, and all the Tahoes have this big lettering that says caution K9. No one's going to confuse us for real K9 if we go out on a call. There's not going to be any of that. It's perfect for what we do. Plus, it's in better condition. The stickers look good. The paint looks good. We do a lot of public facing events. Plus, I do a lot of patrol in general as well. I go out a lot too, more than most volunteer reserve deputies. So, I spent a lot of time in that unit. I was like, it'd be good for us. And they put the request up. The request was no, because reserves can't have anything that nice. And unfortunately, this certain person found out about it, and he caused a huge scene and got really mad. And if there was ever any chance of us getting that, it ended right then and there. And so when I turned it in, I may have placed Luna cards all over it to try to, just to show them, hey, I was just poking fun. But that actually made things worse and made him even more mad. So not only are we not getting that, as far as I know now, but we have to wait for them because all four of the K9 guys got brand new Tahoes. So the plan, I think, now is when one of their Tahoes comes available, which I'm not 100% sure about or think it's going to be appropriate, because I don't think it's going to work for us, but we'll see. We're getting one, and that's it. That's what it'll be probably in the next 2 weeks. Um, and that Durango is just going to sit as a spare. They're not going to use it at all. So I went to go get a spare or a loaner Friday that's non-canine, just so I could do the Mardi Gras parade, and all my stuff was soaking wet because they had left it outside in the rain. So Luna's bed, her toys, all the stuff that we had left in there, all that gear, all got wet, and smells like mold and mildew and stuff. So I wasn't too happy about it. And so as a result of that, I've decided just to take a step back, let the drama do what the drama is going to do, and then we'll reevaluate, because my priority is always keeping Luna safe and doing what's best for her to make sure that she is given the tools to do what she needs to do to help people. So, I don't want to step on any toes or make people mad or whatever. That's not my intent here. So if it's that big of a deal, we'll just step back and let the picture settle a little bit. And that's where we're at. We're going to just kind of hold off and let the chips fall where they're going to fall, and then assess, if what we're doing is good enough, or, if we need to reevaluate. And that doesn't preclude us from going out on our own. I mean, I can go to hospitals and stuff with her, all the time. I don't need permission, and I don't need anything else, because, at the end of the day, she's also a volunteer and she's my dog. So we still might be able to do good stuff with her, even if it's not, necessarily this. We just won't be able to do patrol, which is sad, because I miss it. I miss bringing her out on patrol. She's done a great job with that. There was a call last week with an autistic 12-year-old girl that was wandering in the neighborhood, and I was like, man, that would have been perfect for her. But yeah, we've only done one event this year, or so far this year, so it sucks, but that's what happens. Recently read an article about how we Marines don't have a recruitment problem, likely because we sell our culture. I think about how to do that for other branches. Wondering, God, man, that's a whole video by itself. Show the mission, show cool stuff, fly fast, take chances. Like, that's all you have to do. Show cool jobs and show these kids what they're getting into, and that's what they respond to. You don't need all this other stuff. A lot has been invested in Luna, and the community clearly loves her, so I hope it's sorted out soon. But yeah, just take a minute. But yeah, I'm disappointed that the one person hates us so much that we've had no interaction with. Like, seriously, I've maybe talked to this guy once before even Luna existed, and he has been a vocal opponent of the fact that we exist, to the point that people are in the appeasement mode because they don't want to affect morale, and in doing so, they've affected mine and my willingness to put ourselves out there, because, we don't do this for the money. We do it because we love doing it. We love helping people. And, if there's this feeling that we're a burden, then there's no reason to do it as much as we do. So we're just going to kind of step back, and I don't like all that stuff. Hope you get a new Lunamobile. It's an important mission for mental health. I see mental health issues all the time with railways. Old friend ended it in front of one before Christmas. God, I'm sorry to hear that. Sad part is, being in the industry, I saw the incident reports and know she tried to get out. It's a shame how life goes on. Man, that's very sad. WSU Cougar fan, very sad you and Luna were treated like that. Hopefully it will work out on patrol. Yeah, and I want to be clear, it's not the entire agency. I think if people at certain levels found out about this, they would be pretty upset. But, I'm not trying to rock any boats. I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I don't want to risk anybody's job, because at the end of the day, I don't rely on this. If we don't do this anymore, we just don't do it anymore. Nothing happens. But for them, it's their livelihood and healthcare, insurance, paychecks, all that stuff. So I don't blame anybody except, well, the one guy that is, throwing a hissy fit. But I just think that it's a shame for all the good that could be done and we could still be doing, that this is kind of how it worked out. Yep, frustrating when you're not out trying to hurt anybody. People take issue with something, keep your chin up. Yeah, and that's funny because we just did a 180. I spent 2 years fighting the Air Force. Now the Air Force stuff's great. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, look at this. I was on the cover of the Air Force Reserve website 2 weeks ago because of Luna, actually. And, this video was published today and tomorrow and stuff, and things are going well. It's just funny that now it's flip flop. And, this whole thing became a thing, and just aggravates me. Community outreach with Luna matters. It's cheap. Treatment makes me angry. And it is. And it, I looked at my hours last year. The reserve division requires 24, and we averaged about 53 a month. 24 a month, we averaged about 50 something. And that means some months was 70 or 80, some months was down 30 or 40, but never below, the actual requirements. And so not only was I doing, this stuff, where I started this whole new program, but I was doing patrol too. And that's a free deputy. And when I started bringing Luna out for patrol, then it was twofer, because not only would we go to calls, but between calls, Luna was there to kind of help the deputies do their thing. And it's a new program, and there's still more uses that we can do. We're just trying to flesh it out because we're the first. And when you're the first, you're nobody knows what to do with you. And I think that is probably our biggest problem right now, is that we don't have, there's nobody that's an advocate for us with any authority. I mean, we have people that like us, we have people that like our mission, but there's nobody with real leadership capability that you say, this is how it's going to be. This is the standard. If you got a problem with it, take it up with me, shut up and color, stuff that you would do in an organization where it's an established program. Because it's not established, because I'm reserve and nobody really knows where I fall, and I'm we're kind of just floating out there, which is fine when it's going well. But when we need something, that's where it kind of falls apart, because, then it goes, well, then they apply other standards to us, right? They go, well, reserves don't get newer stuff. They get the old hand-me-downs. We can't do that because somebody will be mad, or, it's such a weird hybrid system that I think people just don't understand it. Working on 80 books right now. So, dude, I'm struggling to get through this editing, but I am in the editing phase of the sci-fi book on chapter 5. And it's a slow process, but yes, that sci-fi book will eventually come out. I want to do the Kruger book here after that, but I got to get through this first. So yes, Air Force should have embraced you. Yeah, it's the same thing as the sheriff thing. It just takes one person. It takes one person or two people, in the case of the Air Force stuff, to get their panties in a twist, and it becomes, the fight of your life, because there's no adult in the room. But now there's adults in the room, and, people are starting to take note, and the recruiting crisis is getting worse, and people are starting to see that, I wasn't out there just for personal gain. I was actually, trying to help and trying to be a positive influence. And I think it's starting to work out, hopefully, knock on wood, whatever. See ya, Tom. Thanks for showing up. Irene says, being in emergency services, I know law, what it's like between career and volunteer. Honestly, it's probably jealous who you are, what you've done. It's amazing how, no, you're right. That's 100% what this is. When we first started, this person said, Luna's not real canine. I think this is a horrible idea. He's not, they're not real canines. And it's like, well, okay, well, cool. And it was this jealousy of, because that's the other part. We get a lot of attention. We got a lot of attention, from the media, the community outreach, by design, because they don't want to bring the bite dogs, and they don't want to be on camera. And, just so happens we're good at it. But, Luna is a rock star. Nothing about that takes anything away from what she's done. So, I will always protect her first. And, I'm not going to put her in situations that I'm not comfortable with, whether it's, a vehicle that I don't think is appropriate, or whether it's a situation that I don't think is safe, or whatever, I mean, the funny thing is, the Explorer we had was perfect. And I, they were saying, well, you don't need something new. And I'm like, you're right. We need to fix this Explorer, because it was perfect. It didn't have a door popper, which is funny because neither does the Durango, and they are wanting to use that as a spare, which it's like, what are you going to use it for? Because it doesn't have a door popper. But and that's an auto opening door with a button so that the dog can come out and go bite somebody. But that vehicle, because it didn't look like anybody else, nobody, would see, they knew specifically that was Luna and not a canine dog or, canine deputy or whatever. And it allowed us to go be our own thing. And it was short. She's a short girl. She'd get in and out of it. She had plenty of room, it was perfect for her. It's smaller, but I don't know. I mean, we're just gonna whatever makes the most sense for her is what I'm gonna do. Sometimes leadership just means making the hard decision, and if that decision has to be made, I'll make it. Laura says, "Do you have a title cover design for the sci-fi?" I do not. I don't even have a name. When I first started writing it, I called it Unknown Writer, and then Farley made his book Unknown Writer, so he published it as Unknown Writer, and now that name is taken, which it kind of already was taken, so I wasn't really going to use it anyway, by a guy who flew F-16s. He passed away. So I probably wasn't going to use that as a good working title. I don't know what I'm going to even call it. I would just call it sci-fi book number 1 is what it's the working title right now. But no, I don't have a cover or anything like that. I'm just trying to get through editing. Mark says, "Thank you. Got the make them tell you no mentality. I've been trying to become a train driver for the last 20 years and 40 plus applications in various supporting roles, and every day I'm getting closer." Hell yeah, do it, man. Up to one day I'll be able to send you an email with my full story ending with me being a driver. There you go. See, that's what I like to hear. I don't like all this negative drama BS. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about happy things and, what are we going to do positive? How are we going to be better humans? Luna has made me a better human. So, that's really what it should be. She's a good girl. She's a really good girl. But anyway, what else we got? Do I have any more emails? I don't think there was a Pakistan Air Force promo video. Okay. Gonky and I can look at that. So check this out. Probably after I finish filming this, I'll film the review. 2 things I've got to review. One, and I keep saying the name wrong, Windwing sent me the Skywalker rudder pedals. So I'm going to do a review on that this week because that comes out on Tuesday. And then the other thing is Pimax. I've got the Pimax Crystal. And I think that's going to be a controversial review because it's got its pros and it's got its cons. It's one of those, it just depends kind of thing. But the Skywalker, which I keep calling the Skinwalker rudder pedals, those are pretty cool. I can fly the P-51 and DCS now without crashing. It's pretty awesome. It's amazing how it just takes some better controls. But and then for the racing stuff, dude, we came again this year, probably within a Friday of being able to make Daytona. But it sadly was not meant to be. So I'm still trying, still focused. I'm trying to find sponsorship for Talladega probably. And if not Talladega, maybe Charlotte, but not giving up. I am going racing March 20 something in New Orleans, Champ Car race, or actually it's Lemons. And then the first weekend in April, we're doing a Champ Car endurance race at Daytona again. So is the channel on an upward swing since you stopped live? Yes. It did really well. So it went up. So back when we were doing lives, it was about 700,000 views a month, which is terrible for this size of a channel. Because I was always averaging between 1.5 and 2 million when I was actively making a lot of videos. And then it went up to 2.2 million in December. And then it's kind of, the January is like at the 1.7 million. It's kind of gone back down. But yes, I mean, it's still way better than it was. So that has been a huge thing. And thanks to y'all for, the membership thing. I know it's not the most popular option, but it works out. And you're not just getting, the lives, you're still getting, these chats, you're getting the early videos, all these DCS videos, you're getting the extended version instead of just the short, 3 fights and we're done thing. So, you're getting some value for it, I hope. And then obviously the Discord channel and all that stuff. So I'm really happy that it works out. DG says, I was a reserve deputy for 12 years. I feel your pain. We had a lieutenant who hated reserves. He made our life hell. Don't let someone like that decide your worth to an organization. Yep. No, and I think what frustrates me is, I don't, after the last 2 years with the Air Force, I don't like that powerless feeling. And so, you decide that there's 2 ways that you can affect things. You can either do nothing and just accept it, or you can vote with your feet. Whether that's vote with your feet by participating less or vote by your feet that just leave. So, and I think, it's not that I'm unwilling, to do anything. It's just that you got to give me the tools to do the job, and you got to appreciate the job. If you don't do those 2 things, then there's no point in doing it, because my concern is if there's something small like this where we're getting pushback, what happens when I actually, things are bad? What happens if Luna gets hurt? What happens if Luna accidentally bites a kid? Or what happens if, there's a critical incident? Are they going to have my back? I don't know. That's the thing that we need to figure out, because, the only way you can really do this job is if you've got some top cover. And when you lose that and you feel like you're alone on an island, JB Smoke says, happy to be a member and thank you for being a member. Membership is a great way to support a channel we value. I appreciate that. I'm glad. And like I said, I hope you feel like you're getting your money's worth and getting a lot out of it. I think it's working out really well, especially with the, we're clipping stuff, and some of the, some videos do really well, some of them don't. But I think it's a good thing. I really wish I had the ability to do some actual aviation content, whether that, I thought the RV8 was going to work out. That didn't. Flying the helicopter was always fun, stuff in the real world, because that to me is my passion, is doing stuff in real world, editing, kind of doing that cinematic look like we did the Finny flight video. That kind of stuff's fun to me. The talk show stuff is cool, but it's not what I'm as passionate about. Sean says, good morning, Mover. Wishing you all the best from Sydney, Australia. Can't wait for the next episode of the Mover and Gonky Show, YouTube plus Wombat. I don't know if Wombat's joining us tomorrow night, but I do know Naveed will be there. Australia, are you guys getting like a typhoon right now? Thought I saw something on the news this morning about, because it's like hurricane season down there. It's summer. So anyway, what else you got? Anything special? Anything you want to talk about before we wrap this up? Let's see. I need to clean out my email box because it's got a lot. Got a lot of nothing. Emptied. But mixed weather and a heat ray. Oh, go Lions. Yeah. Good point. I'd like to see the Lions. I don't know if it's rigged or not, but I'd like to see the Lions. I really don't care for either AFC team. I don't like the Ravens, and I sure don't like the Chiefs. So I would just like the Lions to win. Have you been clipping the mental health minutes lately, or am I just missing them? The playlist is really good to just listen to now. So no, because that was one of the ones. It may be something to revisit, but I decided to just leave it as part of the bigger live stream, because that was part of what was the click-through rate. For getting into the weeds, the click-through rate on those was really low. I mean, channel average. So when things weren't going well, 3.8%, which is terrible. It should be about 6.9%. So if the baseline for a performing as usual video, the click-through rate, so how often people click to a video that you present, is about 6.9. Back when we were doing lives, the entire channel average fell to 3. Mental health minutes were 1 point something, like 1.8. It was super low. So I stopped clipping those as well. Once we stabilize and figure out how everything's working, and it's not going to affect everything, yeah, I'll bring them back. But right now, I turned off everything that was like a lost leader, if you will, because I didn't want skew the numbers. I wanted to, realistically look at this, figure out what we were doing right, what we were doing wrong, and then adjust from there. How about a Gonki, Wombat, and Mover Aerobatics display team? Yeah, good luck getting Wombat to do that. Well, we don't have any airplanes. That's step one. So we're going to need to fix that. Maybe do a GoFundMe or something for 3 L39s. Yeah, Laura says that's a shame. The people who love them, but it might be quite a small group compared to the overall. It's a very small group. Which is sad because you would think that would appeal to a broader audience, but I don't know if maybe it would be worth putting them as shorts, finding like a minute clips of it. And like, I don't know. It just, at the time, the juice is not worth the squeeze, but we still talk about it. It's still going to be part of the show. It's just not its own clip. So it is what it is. All right. That is all I've got for today. I appreciate all of you as always. Really cool that the Finny flight video is now live after 2 years. Today is the 2-year anniversary since the last time I've flown a military aircraft of any kind. So kind of a bittersweet, more bitter than sweet, I guess. But yeah, that was a great day or a great flight. Not really a great day because it was over, but tune in tomorrow. So Newsweek at noon Eastern. That's when they're going to release theirs. And then at the normal time for the Mover and Gonki show at 8 o'clock Eastern, Naveed will be on there. And the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to show the video to Gonki and see what he says about our bromance and make fun of him. Make fun of him. Yeah, we're going to make fun of him. So, all right. Thank you for everything. You guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy the Rolex of the 24 and then playoffs, conference championships for football. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.